This is a lane of loose gravel bolted onto the side of a mountain highway, and it can take a 40-ton truck traveling at 100 kilometers an hour and bring it to a complete stop in a matter of seconds. But here's the part almost nobody understands. If that gravel actually stopped the truck the way you're picturing it, all at once, like hitting a wall, it would not save the driver. It would kill him. The whole genius of a runaway truck ramp is that it's engineered to do the opposite of what it looks like it does. It is built very carefully to not stop you fast. To understand why that matters, you first have to understand how a truck ends up needing one of these in the first place. Because the truck didn't lose its brakes by accident. In a lot of cases, the brakes did exactly what the laws of physics said they would do. Picture a fully loaded semi cresting the top of a long mountain grade. Gravity is now pulling tens of thousands of kilograms downhill, and the only thing standing between that mass and the valley floor is friction. Every time the driver presses the pedal, the brakes grab the drums, and all that motion gets converted into heat. On flat ground, that's fine, because you brake, you stop, and the parts cool down. On a grade that goes on for kilometers, there is no cooling down. The driver is feeding energy into the brakes faster than the brakes can throw it away. A truck drum brake normally runs somewhere around 300 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Lean on it down a long descent, and that figure climbs past 600. And at the point where the friction material actually touches the drum, you can momentarily see 1,000 degrees. Push the temperature high enough and you hit what engineers call the knee point, the spot on the curve where the friction simply collapses. Gases form between the shoe and the drum, the surfaces stop gripping, and the pedal goes soft under the driver's foot. He's pressing as hard as he can, and the truck is speeding up. Here's the cruel detail. A heavy truck usually has just enough braking power to hold a steady speed down a hill. What it often does not have is enough left over to make a hard emergency stop on top of that. So the moment anything goes wrong, a sharp curve, traffic ahead, a light at the bottom, the margin is already gone. The brakes have faded, the engine brake isn't enough, and now there's a runaway. At this point, the driver has one job, and it's to find the gravel. And this is exactly the kind of hidden physics this channel exists for. If you've ever wondered what's actually keeping you alive every time you press a brake pedal, that's the whole reason Braking God is here, to pull apart the engineering most people never think about until the second it fails. Subscribe and you'll never look at a brake the same way again. Now, back to that lane of gravel. When most people see a runaway ramp, they imagine it works like a crash barrier, something that catches the truck and brings it to a violent halt. If it did that, the driver would be in serious trouble. Slamming 40 tons from 100 kilometers an hour down to zero in a few meters would generate the same kind of forces as driving straight into a bridge pillar. The cargo would keep moving even if the truck didn't. So the ramp is designed around a completely different idea. Instead of stopping the truck quickly, it stops it gradually, bleeding the energy away over a long distance so the deceleration stays survivable. The trick is in the depth of the gravel. At the entrance, the bed is shallow, only about a foot deep, so the truck rolls in and barely slows at first. As it travels deeper, the gravel gets deeper too, climbing toward 4, 5, even 6 feet near the end. The further the truck goes, the harder the bed grabs it. That gradual ramp-up is the entire point. Engineers actually measured this. In tests with a 37,000-pound dump truck driven into a gravel bed at 21, 41, and 56 miles an hour, the deceleration the truck experienced was about the same as a hard panic stop on dry pavement. Firm, but not deadly. That's by design. So how does a pile of loose rock outbrake a 40-ton truck's entire air brake system, especially when those brakes have already failed? Start with the size of the problem. A 40-ton truck rolling at highway speed is carrying a staggering amount of kinetic energy, enough to keep grinding forward through almost anything you put in front of it. The brakes were supposed to soak all of that up, and once they've faded, something else has to. The answer is a force the brakes were barely using: rolling resistance. On a paved road, a truck tire barely sinks at all, and rolling resistance is tiny, which is the whole reason wheels are efficient in the first place. Drive that same tire into loose gravel, and everything changes. The stones aren't bonded to anything. The instant the tire pushes down, the gravel underneath shoves apart, and the wheel sinks into the gaps. Now the tire isn't rolling over a surface, it's plowing through it. And every single rotation has to physically shove rock out of the way. All of that shoving is energy leaving the truck. The kinetic energy the brakes couldn't turn into heat fast enough is instead getting poured into moving thousands of small stones. And there's no temperature limit on that. Gravel can't fade. It can't overheat. It just keeps absorbing energy until the truck runs out of momentum. The shape of the gravel matters more than you'd think. The best beds use rounded, pea-sized stone rather than sharp crushed rock because rounded stones flow and shear past each other instead of locking together and packing into a hard surface. You want the bed to stay loose because a loose bed keeps swallowing the wheels, and the amount of bed you need isn't guesswork. Highway engineers size these ramps with a formula that balances the truck's entry speed, the slope of the bed, and the rolling resistance of the material. Faster trucks and steeper terrain need more room. In practice, a crushed gravel bed runs around 400 meters long. Sand needs about 300. And uniform rounded river gravel, the most aggressive material of the three, can do the job in closer to 180. Gravel beds aren't the only design out there, they just one. The earliest escape ramps were sand piles, loose rows of sand the truck would plow into, but sand hits hard and unevenly, and trucks could vault or roll over when they struck it. Then came the gravity ramp, which is just a steep, uphill lane that lets the slope do the work, trading the truck's speed for height the way a ball slows as it rolls up a hill. Gravity ramps work, and a grade of around 10% can shorten a stop noticeably, but they need a convenient hill in exactly the right place, and a truck that stops on a slope can roll right back down. The gravel arrestor bed solved the problems both of those had. It can be built on flat ground, it stops the truck smoothly, and it holds the truck in place once it's stopped. You can find these ramps guarding the worst grades in the country. In California alone, there's the famous one on the Grapevine along Interstate 5, and another in the Cajun Pass on Interstate 15, both sitting at the bottom of descents that have humbled a lot of brakes. Crews from the highway department maintain them constantly, and a big part of that job is keeping the gravel fluffed up and loose, because a bed that's been rained on and compacted won't sink the wheels the way it's supposed to. After every single use, the bed has to be raked level and topped back up, which leads to the strangest part of the whole system. When a runaway ramp does its job perfectly, it leaves you with a 40-ton truck buried up to its axles in gravel, completely stuck. Getting it out is its own ordeal. It usually takes heavy recovery equipment, and sometimes the crew has to unload the entire trailer right there on the mountainside just to drag the truck free. But that mess is the sign of a success. A truck stuck in gravel is a truck that didn't end up in the valley. So when you strip it all back, the runaway ramp isn't a wall, and it was never meant to be one. It's a carefully tuned machine made of loose rock, designed to take an energy the brakes could no longer handle and bleed it out slowly enough to keep a human being alive. It doesn't fight the truck's momentum. It just gives that energy somewhere safe to go. And that idea, finding a clever place to dump enormous amounts of energy, shows up in some of the most extreme machines ever built. Because if you think stopping a 40-ton truck is impressive, wait until you see how a 60-ton tank brings itself to a halt, when not a single one of the wheels you can actually see has a brake on it at all. That's the video coming up next, and it's a good one.